my clock here, so we'll get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce Business Essentials. We're so lucky today to have Yev from Backblaze talking about backing up your business data remotely. Very important topic these days. I'm Cheryl Angeles, the president and CEO of the Chamber. And what we are going to do, you will be muted throughout the presentation. And then about 5 minutes, about 10:25, we will ask for questions. You can chat them in the chat box if you'd like. And then Pauline will handle that portion, and then we'll wrap it up. So with that, take it away, Zev.
Thanks, Cheryl. We actually have Amrit from Backblaze talking about backing up business, but no, that's okay. Yeah, thank you all so much for joining today. My name is Amrit Singh. I am the product marketing manager here at Backblaze. I want to thank you, Pauline, Cheryl, and Lauren, and everyone else at the San Mateo Chamber for giving me the opportunity to talk with you all today. And before we get started, just to give you a little bit of a background on Backblaze and what we do and who we are a data backup and cloud storage provider. We were started in 2007 by 5 co-founders who started the company in our CTO's living room. And about 13 years later now, we store over an exabyte of customer data. And just to kind of give you an idea of what an exabyte looks like, if you were to picture the Earth being a gigabyte, the sun would be an exabyte. So it's a lot of data. And though we've grown from 5 employees to now, I think, over 150, our goal remains unchanged. And that's to provide cloud storage that's astonishingly easy to use and low cost. And that goal really informs everything we do, from our IT operations, our product development, to our brand presentation and marketing. And if there's 2 takeaways, sort of what, about what I'd like you to take away from this presentation, it's that you understand, what does it mean to be properly backed up, and why is this important for my business? And any modern organization these days, needs to have some form of backup strategy at all times, especially now with everyone being distributed overnight. Becomes increasingly complex to kind of implement a backup strategy. People are working across a range of networks, possibly on unsanctioned devices, and in distant locations. The importance of really having that backup strategy in place in case anything goes wrong is increased. And I know some of you may have a form of backup or another, and that's great. I always say that it's better to have some backup than no backup at all. What I see a lot of times is that businesses think they're backed up when in reality they're not. We all use tools like Google Drive, Dropbox, and OneDrive, and iCloud, and these are great for storing your files and sharing them across your team and syncing files across your various devices and whatnot. But they're not true backup solutions, and we'll get into why that is in a little bit here. And at its kind of like simplest definition, a backup is really the result of just copying your files, archiving them, and for the purpose of being able to restore them in the case of data loss. And in the case of Backblaze, what we simply do is we take your files, we store them, and then when you need them, we give them back to you. And it's important, for businesses to be backed up, obviously, because if you lose data, it could possibly lead to lost revenue or losing clients and whatnot. And there's what we identify as 5 major threats to data loss. Some of the things to kind of keep in mind are natural disasters, floods, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, anything that can cause permanent damage to your computers, your hard drives, your servers, to the point where you're unable to recover that data, is potentially harmful to your business. The second thing is drive failures. You might have an external hard drive or a thumb drive laying around that is in your closet and it's been there for 10 years or so. Drives aren't meant to last forever, and it's important to keep that in mind. And it's not a matter of if, but when that drive fails, and how do I recover that data and how do I have that backed up? The third, and I think the most important threat to keep in mind is ransomware. Ransomware has been increasing over the years, and it causes billions of dollars in damages every year. And all it takes is, clicking on that one phishing link or opening that one unsecured website or downloading that one unsecured app. And the attacker can potentially encrypt your entire device or specific folders and files in exchange for some monetary form of ransom, typically in the form of cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. And recently in a study by a company called Dato, in a ransomware report, they found that in 2019, 1 in 5 ransomware attack victims were actually small to mid-sized businesses. And typically, small businesses end up paying the ransom because they don't have a backup in place, and it might be sensitive client information or financial documents, things of that nature that they don't have backed up that are crucial to their business operations, and they need those files to continue operating, and they end up paying that ransom. Whereas if they had a backup in place, they could simply just roll back and download that file and continue working from where they left off on a new device. The fourth thing to keep in mind is employees. So employees that have left the company and are using, say, unsanctioned devices that may still have access to your company's files and folders. If they were to delete something, how do you recover from that? And what does that look like? And then the last thing is human error, spilling coffee on your laptop, or losing a device on a bus or a plane. Recently, I was talking to a customer who I'm doing a customer story on, and they actually use Backblaze for their personal use case at home to back up their music and photos and media files for him and his wife. And he was traveling and left his laptop on the plane, didn't realize it until he left the airport. And luckily for him, all of his files were backed up, and he was able to recover those and start working from where he had left off. And what I see a lot of times is that, businesses know that they need to be backed up, but oftentimes they're not, because they are either stretched too thin, whether it's a lack of budget or IT expertise. Businesses, they might not necessarily know that there's solutions out there that fit their kind of infrastructure. There are very complex business or backup solutions out there, and there's also backup solutions like I mentioned, Google, Dropbox, and iCloud, that aren't necessarily backup solutions and aren't backing up everything. And then there are solutions that will automatically just run in the background and back your team up. And it's especially important now with teams being distributed, across different locations on different devices, to really find something that fits your framework and is easy to roll out and just simple to use. So it's important to find something that is simple. And now with kind of like the advancements in technology, backups really should be the easiest and most reliable part of your workflow. And if you come across a solution that is too complex or just doesn't make sense, it is best to avoid that. And also, it's important to keep in mind you find something that doesn't have any hidden costs, because as you start to grow your organization, you want to be able to scale predictably and understand what the costs are involved of growing your backup solution. And maybe you're going from 50 employees to 100 employees. What does that look like, and how much will that cost me? So it's important to have a solution that gives you the price up front, and it's clear and transparent in that regards. And then also, it's important to
really
find
quick
something
interruption.
Sure.
Are you still sharing screen? Because we no longer see the share.
Oh, yes, I am. Let me. Can you see that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so it's really important to have a solution that just works out of the box. And with your team kind of being distributed across different locations, how do you roll that out across your entire organization remotely? You want to find something that doesn't take an entire IT team to configure. You want to have people be able to just download it, hit go, and it starts backing up. And then lastly, you want something that backs up everything. The last thing you want to do is try to prioritize which files or documents that you want to keep backed up and which ones aren't important. Because when it comes to the restoration process, if there's files that you've deleted or that maybe you thought weren't important a month ago, or is a file that you actually need, you don't want to be stuck in that position. So you want something that just backs up everything on your computer. So getting into why iCloud, Dropbox, and Google Drive aren't true backup solutions, they're known as what we call sync services. And what they do is they provide you a way of syncing your files across your multiple devices. So let's take, for example, a file called apple.jpg, and you upload it to your Dropbox. You can now access that file on your work laptop, your home laptop, your mobile, across devices. And it's a great way of sharing files across your organization to your teammates, and collaborate with the rest of your team. But it's also important to know that these sync services also rely on users putting these files in specific folders on their devices, on their computers. And then if they were to delete their computer, their Dropbox folder, that now is synced across all your devices, and you can no longer access that file on your mobile device or your work device. So if a file gets deleted, it's gone. And the difference between sync and backup is backup services just run in the background automatically. They capture any new and updated data that you create. So if you were to open up a Word document and start working on it, you hit save, that save is immediately captured and incrementally backed up to the cloud. And so those are kind of the main difference between sync and backup. And one thing that we really kind of emphasize in a lot of our blog posts is using a 3-2-1 backup strategy. And what this means is really to have and maintain 3 total copies of your data. So let's take, for example, apple.jpg in this case. Your working file on your device is 1 local copy. And a backup would be, say, on an external hard drive or a USB thumb drive. That would be the 2nd local copy. And then having that JPEG early in the cloud would be your 3rd copy in this 3-2-1 backup strategy. And if you kind of view your files as sort of like an investment capital, you want to diversify. With investing, you want to diversify your assets, limit your exposure should the unthinkable happen. And in the case of backing up, liquidity also matters. How quickly can I recover my file? So if you have a backup hard drive and your computer fails, you're now able to re-download that file immediately and start working on it. And to add even extra protection there, if your external hard drive were to fail, you can now download that file from the cloud and start working on it from where you left off. So what are those things that your business can back up? And it's important to keep in mind if you start backing up now and returns to a normal work routine, whatever that may be, what are those things that I should keep in mind that I should continue to back up and start backing up if I'm not doing so already? And one of those things, like I mentioned, are external hard drives. So if you're still using CDs or things that have important documents, it's important to get those backed up to the cloud or backed up to say another local drive. The second thing is employee generated data. So if there's any projects that your employees or any project to the office, it's important to have those continue to be backed up in case you need to refer back to an older project. The third thing is paperwork. So most of us are the digital world. There are still some physical assets that we come across from time to time. And these can be digitized and these can be backed up to the cloud. And if you're not doing so already, it might be right now might be a good opportunity to kind of digitize those files and start backing those up. And then the last one is emails. So most of us use online email. There are still, like if you're using a local email client like Apple Mail, they still store emails locally, and you can actually back those up to the cloud as well. And then really building your backup strategy, it's, spending the time and effort into putting together a backup plan, whatever that may be, is tiny and needed from recovering from a serious data loss. And then just as importantly as backing up is the restoration process and how quickly can it's important to regularly test your backups and run disaster scenarios with your team on a regular basis. Say, hey, if I were to lose my laptop tomorrow, what would that look like? What kind of files would I lose, and how do I actually recover those files back, and what does that restore process look like? And lastly, I want to end with a little bit of backup humor. This is something I saw on Twitter last week, and it kind of made me chuckle. The dentist says, "Do you floss regularly?" And I go, "Do you back up your computer data regularly?" And I laughed because I thought about it, and I was like, hey, you know what? Backing up, it is sort of like flossing. It's one of those things you need to do. You just kind of don't sometimes because it just seems tedious. And sure, like I agree with, backing up your physical hard drives on a regular basis, that can be tedious. And that is something that may not be on your top of your priority list as a business that is functioning remotely. But luckily, like I said, there have been advancements in technology, and there are other options out there that, back up your files automatically without you having to kind of think about it. And then also just, like I said before, any backup is better than having no backup at all. So if you're on a device and you have Windows File History or Apple Time Machine, I suggest you start using those and start backing those up. Just know that, in case of a natural disaster or theft or your device gets stolen, you're still out on those. So really implementing that 3-2-1 backup strategy is the best thing that you can do to make sure that, you prevent any form of data loss. And I think it's, just backing up now is probably the greatest service you can do for your team, and implementing something that is automatic and silent and complete. And yeah, that concludes my presentation. Thank you all so much for listening to me. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them now.
Hi, I've got a question. It's Pete Hickson. My business is Valley Computer here. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm the choir that you're preaching to here. So my question for Backblaze is, do you guys have if I'm in a pinch, I need to recover my my data, is there a phone number I can call and talk to a technician to help me, to walk me through it?
So we don't have a direct phone line, although we do have live chat support that is open during our standard 9 to 5 business hours on weekdays. So you can ping our support team, and we generally get back to you pretty quick there.
Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question. This is Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi. So should I assume that when I have my IT guy do a backup, that he is backing up the emails and paperwork and the employee generated data that's because it's all stored on the computer? Or should I be asking him about that?
So it would be good. I would suggest to kind of run through that scenario. Like I said, it doesn't have to be, on a weekly basis or anything like that. But if you do feel like, there is a point where you might need to recover your data, or if there's important files that you need access to, and if you were out those files, it would be a problem. It'd be good to kind of check in with IT and kind of understand and ask them what that looks like, and see if they have a kind of disaster scenario in mind, or disaster recovery in mind. So yeah, I would definitely ask IT to kind of provide you with what that backup plan that they have in place is like, and what that would look like if you were to lose a file.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. This is
No
Pauline.
Pauline.
We do utilize, the whole Google Drive because we share files back and forth.
Right.
But since we have multiple people that have edit access, someone could inadvertently delete a whole folder of information, right?
Yeah, so luckily those services like Google Drive and Dropbox, they do have some form of versioning. So if you were to lose a file, you can revert back to a time in the past where those files were existent on your directory, and be able to recover them that way. As to how far back they roll, that I'm not 100% sure on. But like yes, if you were to delete a file and without you knowing, maybe like a month or two down the line, you realize, hey, I need those files. If the versioning only goes back to like say 30 days, you might not be able to recover those. Whereas if you had backup running on everyone's computers or devices, if they have those files stored locally or in any folders on their computer, you'd be able to roll back and find those files without having to kind of dig through Dropbox or Google Drive to look for them.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
I have an employee-related question.
Sure.
In my younger days, in my former career, I had an employee, a disgruntled employee, who basically wiped out all of our files. And so just wondering, is that punishable by law? Is that a crime? I thought it was. We didn't end up pursuing it, but it certainly hurts. When hurts the company when something like that happens.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, if files get deleted, they're critical work files, or if they're sensitive documents, that is definitely a problem, and that's something that a backup would solve. As to the extent of if it's punishable by law, I'm not one to speak on that, and I don't know how that is enforced. But I would say, like I said, if that was the case, and say you did have a backup tool in place, you would be able to then recover all of those files if they were on an employee sanctioned device, and get those back. And with Backblaze, what we do is you have the option of restoring via web browser. So if you are just you want to pinpoint a couple files that you want to download, you can do that from the browser. But if it's your whole directory, say like the entire hard drive was wiped, we also have a hard drive restore option where we actually send you an external hard drive that is just a copy of your computer device, and you're able to plug that into your new device and just restore that right away. And if you return that drive back to us, we give you the full refund on that device. So restoring with us is completely free. So yes, in that case, if you were to have a backup solution in place, you would have been able to, recover all those files again, and be able to access them.
Yev chiming in here just on that's a great answer. As far as like cyber crimes, if it is punishable if you can prove that it was malicious, but I would always say that you should seek legal counsel from people that are not me. But yes, they do take cyber crimes fairly seriously. So if you can prove malicious intent, that is usually something that law enforcement can at least provide guidance on.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Is Backblaze now? Is it? Can any consumer access it?
Yes, we actually started as a consumer service, and we you know, the way it's built is that, you know, it was intended for consumer use. And obviously, you know, businesses, not just consumers, businesses are also digital and they have files that they need backed up and saved. We rolled it out to the kind of business segment as well. And it's essentially the same product as our consumer line. So you get all of the benefits of being able to easily download and access and share it with your team and get it rolled out. But you also have the option of managing multiple users. So if you're an admin and you want to roll it across, you know, a team of 10, you're able to do that within the interface. And that is kind of like the business portion of it. So you're able to manage your groups, do all of the billing under one account, and roll it out to your team that way. So it's you can do it for your business, you can do it for your personal, your home, your work, or sorry, your like home devices, your computer devices, laptops, and so on.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, well, that was a very good presentation, Amrit, and hope you're hanging in there at home.
Likewise.
Yes, it's been a challenge, but on behalf of the Chamber, we want to thank you for giving us your valuable time, and I thought it was very informative. I certainly learned a lot. And just a couple of reminders, we're doing 3 webinars a week, so you can access those on our website and find out what topics we're presenting. And then also, if you gentlemen who are on this call don't have any plans for Mother's Day, we are having a very special Mother's Day event at the Marriott. It's a drive-through. You can pick up a meal. You can pick up flowers, you can pick up chocolate and wine. So that's also on our website if you'd like information on that. And we're supporting our small businesses and the poor Marriott here who, you know, he's hasn't had occupancy. He hasn't had a full occupancy for quite a while. So anyway, if you would like to learn more about that, just check the website. And with that, thank you very much and have a great day. The weather's gorgeous, so go out and take a walk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.